The dream is a Poland reborn, and the dream is alive.
President Bush goes to Gdansk, birthplace of Solidarity's freedom drive for Poland. Then he flies to Budapest to see the winds of change sweeping Hungary. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting tonight from Budapest, Hungary. Good evening. Now, here in Budapest and earlier in Gdansk, a pivotal day in President Bush's campaign to help Eastern Europe break away from one-party communist rule and Marxist economics. The day's moving and fast-moving events began in Gdansk, Poland.
It was everything Warsaw wasn't. On the road to Gdansk, where Solidarity first came out of the shipyards to inspire a nation, the crowds for George Bush weren't just warm. They were, compared with those in Warsaw, big. Everyone seemed to know the importance of George Bush coming to the private home of Lech Wałęsa for one-on-one talks over lunch.
How are you? Nice to see you again.
As President and Mrs. Bush are greeted by Mrs. Wałęsa and Lech Wałęsa, one is reminded that in many ways, this house where Lech Wałęsa lives, where President Bush is visiting today, is the center of Poland. Nearly everybody believes that the government won't last. Nobody knows what's going to happen to the Communist Party, but nearly everybody figures that the one constant that has the best chance of lasting is the Wałęsas who live here.
How are you all?
Lunch with Wałęsa meant serious talk at the table. Wałęsa didn't complain about the modest aid package Mr. Bush proposed yesterday. Wałęsa emphasized his own proposal. The two men emerged for a walk in the garden, Wałęsa saying what he wants is U.S. banks to put up $10 billion in private investment money to jumpstart and transform Poland's economy. President Bush called it a new idea, a proposal worth considering. Close by the Wałęsa house, the Mieszewskis are getting ready for this day. He, a pediatrician, she, an assistant law professor, both members of Solidarity. They want the children to take part today and to remember.
Hello, Bush.
A Solidarity pin for their daughter, and it's off to see and hear George Bush and Lech Wałęsa.
At the linen shipyards in 1970, then electrician Lech Wałęsa led an effort to form an independent union. Dozens of strikers were killed following him. In their memory, Wałęsa built this memorial, the three dark gray shafts. He built it in defiance of the law, and for that, Wałęsa went to prison. It's been a long, tough, dangerous road from then to now.
It was here that George Bush delivered the emotional high point.
To those who think that freedom can be forever denied, I say, let them look at Poland. And to those who think that dreams can be forever repressed, I say, let them look at Poland, for here in Poland, the dream is alive.
And this was the line that drew the most applause.
And the brave workers of Gdansk know Poland is not alone. America stands with you.
Long live Bush, they chant. The Mieszewski family watched George Bush today, are watching their world change before their eyes. This was George Bush's event, but this is Lech Wałęsa's day. We have a chance, Wałęsa says, to be the America of the East.
Lightning hit Budapest just before President Bush did this evening. White House correspondent Leslie Stahl picks up our coverage of the Bush's rain-swept evening here in Budapest.
Just before President Bush got to downtown Budapest, a thunderstorm with violent winds hit the city. But thousands stayed on to cheer him at Kossuth Square, where the 1956 uprising against Soviet domination began. Mr. Bush tore up his prepared text and spoke off the cuff.
That we must work with Hungary. We want to work with Hungary. to continue the changes and the reforms that are going forward in your great country as of today.
The president plunged into the crowd of soggy fans, stunning one of them by giving her his raincoat. Hungary is very different from Poland. The stores here are filled with consumer goods, there's ample food, and reform has come from within the Communist Party, which itself is promoting private enterprise. But like Poland, there's high inflation, a large foreign debt, and like the Poles, the Hungarians are looking to President Bush for economic aid. But he is bringing a similar package to the one he brought the Poles, short on direct assistance, long on encouragement to continue along the path to capitalism, away from communism.
Decades of experience have proven beyond any doubt the poverty of an idea, the idea that progress is the product of the state. On the contrary, progress is the product of the people.
Tomorrow, the president speaks to students at Karl Marx University, continuing, his aides say, to avoid directly challenging Soviet leader Gorbachev, whose own moves toward reform make him a hero here. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, Budapest.
Even as a movement for democracy catches fire here in Eastern Europe, the mass revolt is still smoldering in China. Now, fugitive student leader Wu Kaixi is in Europe, trying to put together a worldwide organization to keep the China movement going. In a moment, we'll have an exclusive interview with Wu Kaixi. The other news of the day, including the death of Laurence Olivier, and more from here in Hungary. As we continue our special coverage of the president's trip and the new face of Europe.
If they could see you now out on a fun ship cruise, you're eating fancy food and doing what you choose. I'd like your friends back home to get a good look at the first-rate carnival cruise that you took. All I can say is, wow, hey, look at where you are. What a fun ship, holy cow. They'd never believe it if your friends could see you now.
Take a 3, 4, or 7-day cruise on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
Now, new scientific tests prove Heart's Blockade Repellent gives your pet total protection against fleas and ticks, or your money back. Unsolicited, here's what some satisfied Blockade users have told us.
We love Blockade spray for dogs. Dips never worked, and we spent hours pulling ticks off. I have recommended Blockade to all my friends.
We've tried everything on our greyhounds for fleas and ticks, even prescribed medications with no luck, until I used Blockade. Thanks for developing a superior product.
Heart's Blockade, guaranteed flea and tick protection that really work.
Great news. I don't need surgery for my hemorrhoids. The doctor said they're not that serious. He said use Preparation H.
You can often relieve pain and itch for hours and help shrink swelling of inflamed hemorrhoidal tissues with Preparation H, also a new cream.
Are your teeth sensitive? Do they hurt? Sensodyne toothpaste can help stop the domino effect that can start with sensitivity. Then pain can make you stop brushing and can lead to tooth loss. Sensodyne toothpaste helps stop the pain and the domino effect.
We're concentrating our coverage this week on the movement for democracy and freedom in Eastern Europe. Worth noting that spread through Europe now are student leaders on the run out of China and the recent showdown in Tiananmen Square.
One of the would-be leaders is 21-year-old Wu Kaixi, who is at the forefront of student marches in China in April. And later he was one of the leaders of the hunger strike in Tiananmen Square that turned into the mass movement for Chinese democracy. When Chinese communist authorities called the students in to lecture them on what was called their misbehavior, Wu Kaixi, in his hospital pajamas, breathing oxygen through a tube, suffering from the hunger strike, talked back. He told Premier Li Peng about the need for Chinese reform. The discussion ended when Wu Kaixi collapsed in a faint and was rushed back to the hospital. Wu Kaixi later called for an end to the occupation of Tiananmen Square, but was voted down and lost his position of leadership among the students. But he regained it after the army stormed the square. He wound up at the top of the government's most wanted list. He escaped China and then put out a defiant statement predicting the downfall of the old-line, hard-line communist Chinese government.
We talked to Wu Kaixi earlier today at a safe house here in Europe. I know that you want to be a bit secretive about it, but What could you tell us about how you got out of China and how the others got out of China? How is this working?
You're right. I have to keep it a secret to protect my friends, those who haven't got out yet.
Lech Wałęsa asked us specifically to pass along his regards and his personal support for you and the movement. Conservatively estimated, how many people do you think died in the wake of the Army's crackdown in China?
On the day of the massacre, I was at the square. At least over 2,000 people were killed on Tiananmen Square.
More than 2,000. Are you fearful of reprisals against your family?
Personally, I worry a lot for my family, but I hope the communist regime won't be so low as to persecute my family members.
Could you suggest anything specifically that you would like President Bush and the United States to do?
I don't want to say much, but there's one point I'd like to say. That is, necessary economic sanctions should not stop. And also, as to what some people said, economic sanction would hurt the Chinese people. I don't agree with that.
The moment that you and the other leaders had in Tiananmen Square was a breakthrough moment for democracy and freedom before the crackdown. How long before there'll be another breakthrough moment?
Optimistically, 2 to 3 years. Conservatively, 7 to 8 years.
The Chinese government and the Communist Party says that you specifically and other student leaders involved in Tiananmen Square were unpatriotic, that you were traitors to the country, that what you sought was anarchy and chaos in the country, and that you set China back perhaps as much as 50 years. I want to give you a chance to answer those very serious charges.
The fact is that they themselves want to push back the advancement of democratic movement, and they want to put the blame on the students.
Under what circumstances would you return to China?
When they give me freedom to speak, even if they try me publicly. But it should be under the democratic system, not under the pressure of an illegitimate government.
Thank you, Wu Kai-shi. On the run, but out of China and safe for at least the moment somewhere in Europe. I'll have more news from Hungary in a moment.
There are vitamins you take because you feel you have to, and vitamins you take because you want to. Vitamins can be flaky, bumpy, crispy, crunchy, and taste so good. It's Kellogg's Product 19 with 100% vitamin nutrition. The only high nutrition flake made with the wholesome goodness of 4 grains, including oats. Kellogg's Product 19. Flaky, bumpy, crispy, crunchy, tasty vitamins.
Why can't they make a stronger flea collar?
Someone has. Scratch X. Look, compared to Hearts and Sergeants, Scratch X has the power to kill twice as many fleas. Compare. All these collars kill fleas, but Scratch X has the power to kill twice as many fleas, since it's government approved to work twice as long.
Yet Scratch X is safe for 3-month-old pets.
Remember, compared to Hearts and Sergeants' 5-month collars, the Scratch X 11-month collar has the power to kill twice as many fleas.
This is one of 570 million refund locations for American Express traveler's checks. Now you can get a refund virtually anywhere there's a phone, only from American Express traveler's checks. So if your bank doesn't carry them, go to one that does.
Today's Tuesday. Started moving yesterday and my arthritis pain acted up. More pain today. Took aspirin both days.
If you take aspirin often, make it tri-buffered Bufferin. 100% aspirin plus 3 buffers. Bufferin if you take aspirin more than once a week.
Back in Hungary now, we have moved inside the magnificent Budapest State Opera House. Theaters in many places around the world dimmed their lights tonight in tribute to Laurence Olivier, a towering presence on stage and screen who died today at his home near London. Lord Olivier, who suffered a variety of ills in recent years, was 82. Correspondent David Browning has put together a look at the life of an actor whose career was without parallel.
Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt.
How do you do? So good of you to come at such short notice.
I'm Julius Edmond Santorin.
I'm Marcus Licinius Crassus.
I'm a Jew.
Laurence Olivier believed in always keeping audiences guessing. From Shakespeare to Sleuth, from London's National Theatre to the sound stages of Hollywood, who would he be next?
You may find the role of Madame de Pompadour is a little beyond your range. And your range is so charming as it is.
He was already a legend in the theater when he hit Hollywood in 1939 to make Wuthering Heights. He remembered looking down his nose at the movies.
I had heard myself saying, this anemic little medium can't take great acting. Can you imagine?
And for 50 years after, he starred in every sort of film and play.
Tell me.
He did all the dangerous stunts in Hamlet himself.
Oh, yes, it looked real because it was dangerous. But you must really go for them, and they must really go for you. That's why that looks good.
In real life, he married 3 times, including the actress Vivien Leigh and actress Joan Plowright, who helped him in his later years throw off the bouts of depression and drinking and stage fright that sometimes bedeviled him.
Why should I care?
Of all his roles, Olivier liked the entertainer best, Archie Rice, the shabby music hall comic. Hollywood gave him 3 Oscars over the years. Great Britain gave him knighthood. His fellow actors simply called him the greatest of his age.
Would you do anything over?
I don't think so. One, is it, H.G. Wells had a wonderful line to somebody who asked him that. Do you believe in another life, Mr. Wells? And he said, he had a little thin, rather thin voice. He said, no, thank you. One life's quite enough for little old H.G. Well, I think one feels like that.
Housing Secretary Jack Kemp told a congressional panel today that he inherited, quote, a legacy of abuse and mismanagement, fraud and favoritism in certain programs when he assumed his post. Then Kemp talked about the future. Terrence Smith has our report.
When I said, when I first took the nomination from President Bush that I wanted to make HUD a high-profile agency, I don't think I had this in mind.
Testifying in detail for the first time on the spreading scandal at his agency, Housing Secretary Jack Kemp acknowledged that the loss to the taxpayer from waste, fraud, and abuse in the last 8 years could be as high as $2 billion.
It's a ballpark figure. It's a ballpark figure. I think $6 billion is way too much.
Right.
I think $1 billion would be too low.
And for the first time, he publicly blamed the agency's problems on his predecessor and fellow Republican, Samuel Pierce.
I think it was run in shipshod fashion. I think there were mistakes made.
Kemp insisted that his goal is to clean up HUD, not dismantle it, as some conservatives have urged.
I want to work with the Congress to wage war on poverty and homelessness and despair. I am not out to wage war on programs. I'm not out to wage war on policy.
The overriding job we have, I think, to do right now is to make sure that this does not become another case of the victims being further victimized.
But the abuse continues. A new audit obtained today by CBS News shows that just one California mortgage company failed to turn over some $400,000 in payments to the agency. Terrence Smith, CBS News, Washington.
The Coast Guard today said oil from the hull of the crippled tanker Exxon Valdez was the likely source of a 10-mile oil sheen off the coast of Southern California. Concern about that slick, plus discovery of 5 flaps of steel hanging from the bottom of the tanker, is expected to delay the ship's entry into San Diego Bay for at least several days. The Exxon Valdez faces repairs for damage it suffered when it caused the nation's largest oil spill ever. The United States bowed to pressure from Israel today and branded as terrorism the bus attack last week that killed 14 Israelis. Earlier, the U.S. State Department said it didn't know enough to say that, but Israel protested, saying this would give Palestinians a, quote, license to kill. Today, a spokesman in Washington said the U.S. still doesn't know if any group was behind the attack, but it did meet the criteria of terrorism. That word, of course, is politically loaded in the Middle East. The U.S. has agreed to talk with the PLO only on the condition that it has renounced terrorism.
You can see the dream of success in the eyes of people all across America. At Citicorp, we understand the dream. That's why, as Citicorp and Citibank, we've become America's largest financial services organization, already helping 1 in every 5 American families, with more home mortgages, more student loans, more MasterCard and Visa cards than any other company. We'd like you to get to know us better. Citicorp, because Americans want to succeed, not just survive.
Only Red Lobster could create an event this big. Lobster Fest 89. Lobster choices like nowhere else, starting at just $7.95. Get ready to savor sweet rock lobster or luscious Maine lobster. New platters like lobster and crab. Great lobster dishes starting at just $7.95. Kids dinner $1.95. Don't miss Lobster Fest, now at Red Lobster. Friday through Sunday, it's our weekend special. Steak and shrimp, just $10.95.
Patients come in, they don't even tell me they smoke.
You know what I tell them? It's an addiction to nicotine. You need treatment. Today we can treat nicotine addiction.
Patients just don't know that.
It's a shame they don't come to us.
See your doctor.
Just this much Cortaid heals more kinds of itches and rashes than all of these. Because Cortaid has a clinically proven healing medicine they don't have. That's why Cortaid is the itch aid.
Today's events in Gdansk underscore the importance of that Baltic seaport in Polish life, a place of shipbuilders who have now given Poland new hope for a democratic ship of state. Bob Simon reports from Gdansk after the cheering stops, a once-upon-a-time story with no guarantees of a happily ever after ending.
45 years of communism have not killed Poland's love of fairy tales. This is a story about a prince, a priest, and a princess. But the setting supplied by the socialists is far from Never Never Land. It is the legendary Lenin shipyard of Gdansk, its giant cranes hovering over the Baltic like primeval birds of prey. It was a showcase of Stalinist economics when it opened in 1948. It is the birthplace of solidarity, the workplace of Lech Wałęsa. In 41 years, 922 seaworthy vessels have been built here. It's the shipyard that's sinking. Last October, the government declared it unprofitable, said it should be shut down, ordered state managers to start selling it off. Lenin was in liquidation. The men who build the ships are convinced the decision was political. Close down the cradle of solidarity, as if that could stop the rebirth.
The government is taking revenge on Solidarity. That's why they hit this yard to split the movement and destroy it.
Enter the worker priest, Solidarity supporter, Father Henryk Jankowski.
It was the work of God. While visiting the United States, I met Mrs. Barbara Johnson.
Barbara Johnson, born Barbara Piasecka in Poland, emigrated to the United States, worked as a chambermaid for J. Seward Johnson, heir to the Johnson & Johnson fortune, married him when she was 34 and he was 76, inherited $500 million after he died. The priest brought the heiress to Gdansk to meet Lech Wałęsa. Lech said he was sad. His shipyard was closing. Barbara gave him a 4-leaf clover and an offer of $100 million. It was Lech's lucky day.
I thank God who has brought this most wonderful person, a person who lifted from our shoulders this terrible burden.
And just in time, the yard's largest dry dock lies idle and abandoned, waiting for its ship to come in. 70% of the yard's young men have left.
We were not allowed to rise salaries above, from year to year, exceeding a certain level. And that was the main reason why we were losing the people.
So the Lenin shipyard was destroyed by Leninist economics?
You can say so.
The men who worked the yards and struck for solidarity have wandered off to their own private ventures now. Computers, consulting, car alarms, clothing. Some are in Parliament, some are on City Hall. These ex-yardsmen, Yacheks of all trades, are restoring the city's old buildings. Solidarity is turning a corner from large state enterprises to small private businesses. But this one corner of the past must be preserved, they say. That's why Barbara Johnson is received like royalty here, reviewing her troops, accepting the accolades of her subjects, followed everywhere by music and flowers and lawyers, floating a proposal that would give her a 55% share of the yards.
I have faith in Poland, faith in the Polish worker, faith that the U.S. can do a lot for Poland. I am the first person who did it.
West German and Swedish companies have also been showing interest. Labor costs here are less than 25% what they are in Western Europe, but the people's choice is clear.
I personally would prefer the Americans to buy the yard.
But what about the authorities? What do they think about the Lenin yards rising again on a tide of American capital?
We need a foreign partner. So we do not see any mental obstacles.
I think everybody Polish people knows what to do.
A morality play acted out amidst the gingerbread houses of Gdansk. And if one private American can do so much, people whisper, just imagine what the United States of America could do. Bob Simon, CBS News, Gdansk.
From the Budapest Opera House, that's the CBS Evening News. We'll be here in Budapest all day tomorrow, covering President Bush in a Hungary on the road to change. Dan Rather. See you tomorrow. Good night.
It was Dean Witter's personal philosophy of success.
We have a sacred trust to protect our customers.
But its impact was felt on California Street,
To maintain conservative policies.
on Lincoln Street, and Acorn Street.
To put the interest of our clients first.
Dean Witter put principles before profit, people before portfolios. There are many ways to measure success on Wall Street.
We measure success one investor at a time.
Dean Witter, a member of the Sears Financial Network.
Oh, honey, don't come near me, please.
Oh, I can't. No, it's not a good idea. Oh, no, baby, not right now, no.
Oh, sweetie, you don't want to get too close.
Till that sticky, pasty morning mouth film on your mouth, teeth, and gums is powered away with Scope, and the worst breath of the day is replaced with the best.
Kiss me.
What are you waiting for?
Give me a kiss.
You may kiss me now.
Scope, the best thing first thing in the morning.
My wife. She brings me this cereal that tastes magnificent, and it is made with oats. She's crazy for me. Darling, what is this?
Nuttin', honey.
I love it when she talks to me that way.
New Nut and Honey Crunch O's. You'll love the oats.
With low back pain, every step shoots pain. Up here. Know what helps?
Clinically proven Back Guard, a shoe insert. Watch how it absorbs foot shock to relieve low back pain.
Amazing. Something down here can help up here.
Back Guard from Dr. Scholl's.
Revolution 89. France celebrates a rebellion past as revolution sweeps through the communist world. A special edition of 48 Hours from Paris, Thursday.
This is CBS.
Good evening, I'm Chris Clark, and coming up next on Eyewitness News, heavy rain surprises parts of Middle Tennessee, causing some evacuations. A fight over a boyfriend leads to the death of a 12-year-old girl, and some advice on measles shots. And in sports, a big night for baseball. Eyewitness News is next. Joyce.
Roaches. For every one you see, there can be 200 more hiding and multiplying behind your walls. Fact. There's only one way to handle a problem like that. Orkin, with over 85 years